back to our discussion on like the intense work and craftsmanship of the special effects, it was really interesting to hear members of the effects crew talking about what was great about the film in the end is that it's really about the drama that's going on inside the ship, and it's the drama and the action, and all of that is inside the ship. But all of their work is just to remind you occasionally, by the way, we're in space, right? It's this whole thing of space is not the at the forefront of this. This is not about all the vast craziness out there as much as it's about the internal claustrophobic struggle inside.
The space is the bigger thing, is like you can't escape though. Right. So it being a haunted house in space movie, it's like you can't even run for that door and open it because you're dead that way too. Yeah. So you are trapped.
I didn't even think of that. That's such a good call, like haunted house in space. Like that's such a perfect way to say that.
I think it was also pitched as Jaws in space.
Yes, I've heard that.
Oh my God.
And I think the egg is kind of like the the shark.
The mouth. Yeah.
But it's also thinking of it that way, as far as like the haunted house metaphor, to invoke some Clover here. Carol Clover talks about it being a representative of the terrible place. She talks about how she lumps a lot of things into slashers that aren't slashers, but whatever. She talks about how slasher films have to have a terrible place, and in order to make Ripley a final girl, she has to make Alien into a slasher. Is basically what she's doing.
Yeah, I get that.
I think there's to me there's also classifications of films is a whole nother topic, but there's stories about teenage girls surviving, and then there's women who prevail. Right?
I see Ripley as a warrior.
A warrior, yeah.
100% first off.
To me, they're very different.
Exactly. It
kind of carries through with that idea of a haunted house, because she's saying that the terrible place in this is this womb-like kind of cavernous world that they're trapped in between the two ships, because you have even it's the tight quarters on the Nostromo's, but when they're on the alien craft, it's these big huge cavernous walls, but it's still the same kind of concept of being stuck within. And the womb tomb kind of thing, but I definitely wanted us to shift over now to talk about what we meant to do about an hour ago, which is to go through the cast.
Yes.
Thank you guys for
this incredible, wonderful cast.
I love all these people.
I just want to I want to kind of, because here's the thing about here, there's only, like you said, 7 people in this film.
Yeah.
All 7 of them came to this movie already as established actors. There's no one in this this is their first movie. It might be their first major motion picture, but it doesn't mean they didn't have like vast theatrical, like theater experience or television experience. Some people, all of the above. So they're varying levels, but they all have very sturdy careers by the time they make it to Alien.
Yeah.
So just to kind of preface that, I want to try and like go into their genre work and how they fit into the grander scheme of thing in that way. So I say we start at the top. Sigourney Weaver. Yes. This is her film. This is the film that really catapults her, and it's iconic because of her in that way. So do you guys want to chime in some of your favorite Sigourney Weaver films that fall into the sci-fi and horror world?
It's going to be, along with you, Ghostbusters.
Yep, number 1 on my list.
Nice.
And between that and Ghostbusters, and then seeing, I fall in love with Sigourney. She's like an icon to me, besides just being Ripley and being like, this is this cool woman who gets to be in a lot of really awesome, productive roles of I'm not just the damsel. Even in Ghostbusters, when she does turn into a big smelly like dog monster, she still has like a big active part in that as like a great foil to Bill Murray.
I mean, I could even sidebar how there's some correlations between Ripley and her character in Ghostbusters, because both of them are women who are smart and determined and trying to find someone to just listen to them.
Yeah, she's an independent woman living on her own. Something crazy happened, especially going like aliens, because when she pops up there, no one believes her. And Bill, Dr. Peter Venkman believes her because he thinks she's hot and he wants to like, I believe you,
she
whatever.
Sleeps above her sheets, 6 feet above her sheets. Yeah, I know.
And she's just like, this crazy thing's happening to me. Can we figure it out? I need,
Does any of this equipment actually do anything?
Yeah, because she's not just like a helpless cliche in any of this. The fact that in the movie she's confident and strong and outspoken, where I feel like a lot of women characters probably didn't have that. It depended on what type of movie it was supposed to be. Maybe in sci-fi.
Yeah, this is definitely a turning point in science fiction.
It's a huge turning point, and
it's in 1979 that it's happening. We can't, ignore the fact that by then the women's movement is fairly, widespread in the country, and it's you have to in some way react. But the fact that it was not written for a woman,
of course, right,
is kind of, it's all kind of colliding and
it was
together.
Originally for a male part, and was it Ridley who said, "Let's put a woman in there"?
I think him it was even before him, but it was written
someone
kind
in
of
the studio.
It was one of these decisions in casting of, well, we want to have 2 of them should be women.
Right.
We should have some diversity racially. So they just kind of were like, I feel arbitrarily assigning it as they were going through the casting process. But I feel like it was like the stage right before casting where they kind of labeled, okay, so we'll make Ripley and Lambert the women. That wasn't clear in the way it was written initially.
Right, exactly.
I would say also with Sigourney Weaver, I am not a fan, but you can't forget the fact that she's in one of the top grossing films of all time, Avatar.
I know, neither. That's right.
Get it,
she has her sci-fi legacy. I'm not an Avatar fan either. I know we're in the minority, and I'm fine with it.
I would also say we have to remember of equal importance to me is Galaxy Quest.
Oh, of course.
You can't. The ability to not only be a strong woman, but a woman with a sense of humor is always important.
Right. Well, even to talk about that quickly, Paul.
Right.
She ends up at the end. Yep. Sigourney, the thing that's awesome about her, besides all the other films she's been in that isn't in the sci-fi genre, is that her love, she even says, I know I'm not Ripley, and at first I thought, could I even play a character like this? Because she's like, personally, I'm not that strong and tough. Like, how many of us, even when I watch the movie, I go, I want to feel like I could do that, but I'd probably be like Lambert and just freak out more, because
cry and freak out.
I'm gonna cry and freak out because in real life I cry and freak out at things. So and I understand her saying that, but the fact that she loves and appreciates this character so much, and that it's carried her through her legacy in filmmaking, where somebody's like, hey, we're doing a sci-fi thing, Sigourney, can you? And she's like, oh, of course. They're like, can we get a little, even, you're not being Ripley, but because you're an icon in the genre, to put you in something science fiction, even if it is like serious again or silly, it means so much, and that she recognizes and appreciates it means so much. So as a fan, even seeing that, you're just like, God, I love her. Yeah. And she's like, hey, here I am. She
has that, like in Paul, she has that moment in Cabin in the Woods. She has that moment in Chappie even. So she kind of ends up in these places of importance, or pulling the strings from behind. You're not quite sure, but
she's a sci-fi, like she's part of the sci-fi like monarchy.
Right, she's a pantheon at this point. But it's also the she, like you said, she went into it not identifying as someone like Ripley, but then got kind of typecast as her for quite a while.
Yeah.
So it's also for her as changing who her image is, as being, I don't have to just always be that, because that's not what I was before I was that, so
exactly.
And genre films have that problem where we latch on to someone as that thing, and we want them to always be that thing.
Right. We love you as this, and that's we're going to
just always ever be that
project to be the same guy you were in that different thing.
Right.
Because you did so well. So the blessing and the
punishment
curse
is don't ever do anything again.
No.
Yeah.
But that she's cool enough, like, to understand and see that, and like in the other films that are comedies, like she'd kind of like take the piss a little and be like, hey, so here's me, Sigourney Weaver.
I'm right
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I think that pretty much sums up Sigourney in a lot of ways. Next on the list is of the way that they are listed in the credits, I believe, is Tom Skerritt. So we have some non-genre stuff here from Mel.
So it's actually funny that you guys just said, like, sometimes you get pigeonholed in roles, and every actor talks about that, especially these iconic people that we watch, right? Like, Tom Skerritt definitely, and I know this was not his first thing. He's one of those people that had been trained in everything, like you said, Vic, like, but right after this, because I think they saw that he had done such a great job being the captain, and he almost had the feeling like he may have been the only person on the ship other than Ripley who, like, the job surpassed the money a little bit. Like, he was like, I am in charge of these people. I do have to lay myself down on the line at some point. I am their captain, and I know I'm not a military person, but I have to carry myself that way. I have to show these people that, like, you're safe in my hands, and, you know, we're doing this. I got to make the call. I got to make the tough call, and you have to follow me. Because 7 years after he did this, right? So, 1986. Yes, he was Commander Metcalf, call sign Viper, in Top Gun, and it was a super similar. Come on,
I love you.
And it was a super similar role. Like, he was the touchstone where, like, when Tom Cruise's character went a little crazy, he went to Viper for advice. He was very fatherly, but he also knew, like, he is the icon that I can look up to. And similarly, when he played the father in Picket Fences, and when he played the father in Dead Magnolias, he still played that role. He played Julia Roberts' father in Dead Magnolias, and it was that same thing. Like, while that movie obviously focused on the strength of the women in the movie, he had to deal with, like, well, what kind of representation am I supposed to be for my family, and how am I supposed to, like, lead them through this terrible shit that we're all going through? And then in Picket Fences, the same thing. So yeah, like, because he did so good in this, probably that brought him to, and the fact that Ridley Scott and Tony Scott are brothers, that probably brought him to Top Gun as well. But yeah, like, he probably got a little bit of pigeonholed, but that's what I have on Tom Skerritt. Do you have anything else? Because those were the four that I really wanted to talk about, but I don't know if I'm missing anything. Was he ever in anything else, horror or anything?
Yes, I do have some genre stuff from him.
Cool.
All right. He was in Devil's Reign, which is a horror movie that also has William Shatner in it, by the way.
Mel's got to see that now.
Yep.
Mel
he was in the film of The Dead Zone by Stephen King.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
I think he's the one of the cops. Well, he's like the lead investigator of the cop.
Yes.
I looking through he's a cop a lot. Like that's another thing he does well. He's also in Space Camp, which I know is kind of like genre adjacent, but I remember loving that. And that's space. And that's got to be another one of those things where it's like, well, you were in a famous space movie, so we want you in Space Camp, you know?
Exactly.
It totally is.
He was in Poltergeist 3, which I cannot remember for the life of me, but I know he was a lead character.
I don't know if I've seen Poltergeist 3.
I can't remember part 3. I remember part 2.
Yeah, me too.
And also Contact.
Oh gosh, yes, Contact.
Yeah.
But that's another one.
I saw that in the theater.
Me too.
I think I did too. Yeah. So I think, he
forgot about Contact.
I think there's somebody else in here who was also in Contact. John Hurt.
Oh yes.
I'm
to get the legacy actors from something so big, that's like, again, that's like a huge deal. It's cool.
Yeah.
Let's move into John Hurt then, since we just made the Contact.
Yes.
Love him.
There's a lot. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
This dude was in everything, wasn't he? Just
my list for him is ridiculous. It's crazy. It's big.
Hit us with it.
Yeah. I mean,
like, oh yeah, that too.
Right. Yeah. I'll run through and add in. But
yes.
A movie that I love that got very little kind of notoriety is a later Peter Cushing film called The Ghoul from 1975, and he is in that. He is that's a very young man in that film. He's the voice of Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings animated film from the 70s.
Oh, so, wow!
If you could. This is another thing of a drinking game is how many people are end up in Lord of the Rings movies from this. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, of course, we have The Elephant Man from 1980. I'm not a Lynch fan, but The Elephant Man is an amazing movie.
It is.
So He's amazing in that. 1984.
Yes, I was waiting for you to say that.
Yep.
Winston Smith.
He was, and I mean,
good.
I need to watch that film as an adult because as a teenager, I did not have the patience for that film.
Yeah.
But so I do need to revisit. But I remember him being like, "Oh my God, he is the guy in the book." He was that. Yeah, he was amazing as that. Yes. He was in one of the voices in Black Cauldron. I love that movie. You mentioned his Spaceballs cameo.
Huge deal. Just to be cool enough to be like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll do that."
Yeah,
I love. That warms my heart when an actor is like, I'll totally like do a joke version of that thing that's like I'm really famous for that was serious. It makes me love someone forever.
There's not a lot of actors who laugh at themselves. And
exactly.
He's in that group. He was in Frankenstein Unbound. We already said Contact. Of course, he was the wand maker Ollivander in the Harry Potter films.
Exactly.
Yes. Another massive franchise.
A massive franchise that has legacy actors throughout it.
Yes. Hellboy. I love Hellboy, the original.
Oh, yeah.
He's great in that. A link to his existence, not from Alien, but from 1984, is him in V for Vendetta, which is essentially a modernization retelling of 1984.
Oh, okay. I've never seen that. I should check that
out.
So good.
There's like a reversal of fates of him in that film, which is excellent. I know as comic book movie rating, it's not loved, but it should be. I'm sorry, it's not exactly your comic book, guys, but your comic book was very good. The movie was also very good. It's two very different things, but it's excellent. Wholly recommend. He was in the fourth Indiana Jones, which we sometimes try to forget even happened. Not his fault. And Snowpiercer, which was a recent big, huge takeoff there. So that's just the genre stuff that I knew.
Yes, Melissa.
And Melissa, add to that, please.
Wasn't he the War Doctor?
Yeah, I did, and I don't usually put.
He was like the eighth and a half Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah. That's what
poster that's up here on my wall.
Fuck! I forgot about that.
I will get a picture of this poster that stares at me as we record every time. So yes,
he's like Victoria,
and he's coming out of the fire too. Like,
oh,
yeah. True. That was the first thing I ever saw him in, and then shortly after I had seen that was when I first watched 1984 for my episode, and I was looking at him young, but I was just like I could recognize him, even though he also looked shorter. But he's standing next to David Tennant, Matt Smith, and they're super tall. I don't know. But I was just like, why do I know that face? Why do I know that face? And I had to look him up, but I was like, he's the War Doctor. So that's what I actually thought what you were going to say when you said Ollivander, because I was like, she's coming up to Doctor Who. But
I forgot because I zero in on film. I forget to add TV on my list.
Right.
That was the first thing I saw him in. So that's why I thought of it.
And I completely forgot he was Ollivander until I was doing this. And I was like, oh, shit.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That I forgot to. Yeah, I forgot that until you said it. He's cool.
He really is.
Like him.
Such a massive career that he.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I'm funny. Okay, I'm sorry. This was actually in my notes because I forgot. I didn't want to forget it, but Allie, this goes back to our decades-long friendship. I think your British influence is getting to me because in this movie I found him more attractive than I found Tom Skerritt.
He's a good-looking dude.
Skerritt.
Yes, I know you love some Skerritt.
But I'm watching, and I'm just like, there's something more. Just I don't know, like more.
He also has a very beautiful accent. He's like a very beautiful British voice.
Yeah, he does.
And we all know I love beautiful British male voices.
Yes, absolutely.
I won't say anything else about anybody else, or it'll be a 5-hour show. And Vic's like, please stop her. You'd have to hit me with a Trent gun, so I'm not going to even bring it up.
So I'm going to go from John Hurt then to Ian Holm.
Perfect.
Yes, because we have a recent Ian Holm newness.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. I was going to start with Time Bandits. Sorry, that movie huge for me as a kid,
of course,
can't not think of him in that. I love that, and then of course, after that is Brazil. Yes.
These are epic, iconic.
Yeah, he's just like
fantasy, sci-fi, really important genre films.
So this is his gig then, is sci-fi and fantasy then? Okay.
It's very deeply.
He's part of the monarchy, the pantheon.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, another movie I know a lot of people aren't crazy about, but I particularly like.
That's awesome.
Fifth Element, not a fan.
Oh, I saw that.
Vic, and I know you're married to a Fifth Element fan. I'm not a Fifth Element fan either.
Yeah. I'm not either.
I really, and I've watched it multiple times to see if it can stick again. It doesn't for me.
And I think years in I've discovered that really the only reason my husband's a Fifth Element fan is he's not. He's a Mila Jovovich fan.
Okay, I understood.
That's different. Yeah. So it's like, but it's Mila. Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
I mean, Gary Oldman, and you would have thought that's like the only role I don't like him in.
So many cool.
Wow.
Because he plays like the Ross Perot type character. I know that's actually what he was going for. Yeah. And I was like, you are his character is supposed to be unappealing, but even when Gary Oldman's unappealing, he's appealing to me because it's Gary Oldman.
He's still Gary Oldman.
And I was like, man, I don't even like you in this, and I love voices. You, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fifth. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah.
What I did actually really like that nobody else talked about was Existence.
Oh yeah.
David Cronenberg. Anyway, From Hell. He is amazing in From Hell. Another one that's like, I love this comic book. This movie's got some cool things.
It's got some cool things. I know it didn't. You know, my issue with From Hell is
the really clean prostitutes.
All the clean the good teeth.
The good teeth, the cleanliness,
only Heather Graham had good teeth, and the rest of the prostitutes had bad teeth. And I was like, should have made it more real, but I know they're not gonna. The two leads are gonna have to still be pretty, but I was like, took me out of it.
That's like, well, I could go on a whole rant about like that. That's like, what was that? Gangs of New York.
Oh,
I'm sorry. How come everybody else is dirty except for your lead? Was it Cameron Diaz in that movie?
Yes.
Just like, why the hell are you so clean looking? You're just
like, I found toothpaste.
Right. And you're somehow
that's
wash
why
your
we
face
like the style of this movie, I think, is because it's so like I was like, it's so grimy.
We all are.
Yeah.
And
everybody's
and of course Titanic is the worst film for all that, by the way. Anyway.
Sorry.
So many.
Can I just say one thing still?
Go for it.
I've never seen Titanic on purpose, and I'm never will. Sorry,
not sorry. People make me. I've seen Titanic.
And everyone,
I don't care.
You can waste your time and at me. I'm not even going to pay attention to you.
I don't think.
I'm never going to watch
for all the,
I don't want
Cameron fans who are like, but it's James Cameron. Yeah, James Cameron didn't make a lot of his movies that aren't great. Sorry.
That's the one reason I get all the time. But it's James Cameron. I'm like, A, that doesn't mean a whole lot to me, and 2, it still has Leonardo DiCaprio in it, who I hate. So,
and I only unhated Leonardo DiCaprio, thank you, to Mr. Quentin Tarantino. So
he was excellent.
Make him a villain. Holy shit, he's a good actor. Anyway,
and I also love him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
Him and Brad, who are like buddies in real life, were so great in that film, which is like a sweet friendship movie.
It is.
But I also love What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Okay.
But that's different. That's a different time.
That was a bad date movie for me. Anyway.
That's rough for a date.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Ray Liotta's brain getting eaten than What's Eating Gilbert Grape is like heartbreaking, gut hurting.
Yeah. I think I saw Hannibal by myself, so maybe that's why it wasn't as offending.
And we went after dinner, so that was funny.
Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. So we said From Hell. Day After Tomorrow, another big sci-fi epic-y Schwarzenegger.
I love that movie.
And of course, you cannot forget that Ian Holm was Bilbo.
Love it.
And a quick side note for Mel and I discovered watching was it 1969 Midsummer Night's Dream?
Yes.
69 or 68?
Like 3 versions of Midsummer Night's Dream, by the way.
Yeah. He is in that film version as Puck.
Yep.
And I did like him as Puck, but there were other Pucks I liked more.
That's like almost perfect. Like, other than our actual perfect. But that's...
He's one of those actors from the period where we were still doing plays for television, like Playhouse TVs.
Yeah,
and he was in several versions as Puck in those as well. So
they're the Royal Shakespeare cast.
Yeah,
doing that filmed version of that.
As was Veronica Cartwright doing plays for TV.
Shall we talk about Veronica Cartwright now?
I know Mel wants to.
She
haunts her dreams.
Jumping at the bit.
Tell us about your girl.
Oh God! So, nowhere to go. Can I just refer to my episode? No.
Yes.
No. Okay. So no. So she has been one of those that has literally done film, television, theater, trained in all of those things. since 1958. So however old she was 20 years before this movie, she's been doing shit since then. I know one of the movies that she was in, which is one of my faves, she was like maybe 12 or 13, something like that, like a kid. She was in Alfred Hitchcock Presents. She was the main child who causes strife in Lillian Hellman's A Children's Hour. Lots of TV, Twilight Zone, Danny Thomas Show, all kinds of stuff. She was in The Birds. She was Tippi Hedren's friend in The Birds. She was in like Dr. Kildare, all those old TV shows that we hear from our dads, like Family Affair, Dragnet, Mod Squad. And later on, from what I know her from, is she's in 2 adaptations of short stories that are not sci-fi, but definitely horrific, but in like a psychology kind of way, like that kind of horror. The Lottery and The Yellow Wallpaper. So that's how I
got The Yellow Wallpaper too.
So right after I went down the Veronica Cartwright rabbit hole, I was talking about The Lottery, and she was in I guess it was the TV movie of that, because other than her, there was just TV people in it. It was like curly-haired girl from Felicity, and a bunch of like just TV famous people. I can't remember her name. Like TV famous people. But then she was in a feature version of what did I just say? The Yellow Wallpaper with Juliet Landau from Buffy Buff.
Hey.
So exactly. So this was where my whole Veronica Cartwright rabbit hole started, but from The Children's Hour all the way to The Yellow Wallpaper, like all this stuff. Like Alfred Hitchcock I watched when I was younger. Twilight Zone I watched that with my dad. All this kind of stuff. So
she's always been there.
Yeah, she's been following
life.
you.
It's weird.
It is.
Actually, I will say, to encourage the idea that she's been following you, in 1978, she was in the remake of The Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Come on.
There you go.
Wasn't Leonard Nimoy in that? Or did he direct it or produce it? Was it
Donald Sutherland was the lead, right?
Okay. If it's Donald Sutherland, that's weird too, because I grew up watching MASH with my parents and he was in the movie.
Yes. And he was also in the Buffy movie, so there you go.
Stop it.
He's the Watcher.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Okay, so it was Donald Sutherland that was in the movie. Oh God, yeah, Jeff Golden. Leonard Nimoy was in it.
Yep. That's another one I have to watch as an adult. That as a teenager, I know I missed out on some stuff because I've
never seen it, but clearly it's in the Melissa rabbit hole.
It
so
seems like you need that next to exist in your realm.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I will also throw out there that Veronica Cartwright was also in Witches of Eastwick. She was in Candyman 2. She's I believe the mom in Candyman 2.
I love Witches of Eastwick.
I don't know if I've seen that in a long time. I think I saw it on TV, so I'm sure I saw it edited.
I just saw it this past Halloween again for the first time in a while. Yeah.
She also was in the remake of Town That Dreaded Sundown and Scary Movie 2. But
I've seen all the scary movies.
I was trying to remember her in Scary Movie 2. But that brings us to Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton, I know we all call him Andy's dad because we love Pretty in Pink. Was he a father in any other thing? Or did we just feel like, so that's the first time I saw him, because I know I watched that before Alien.
Yes.
And so he's like the sweet dad. It's just so funny when I see him in anything else and he's surly, which I think he mostly does like surly character acting. Like I felt like Andy's dad was maybe not as much as
for him.
Yeah. Or like not what he usually would get cast as.
Yeah.
So it's funny. So I know him first as that, and we all know him like he was the sweetest father. Andy's dad's the sweetest. So I know we all kind of call him like Andy's dad. But I think that was the only time he was ever like a father figure, because he's usually like surly weird guy, which he does well.
And he's another one of those guys that when you see him in something else, like, holy crap, I forgot he was in that. It's like he was in Escape from New York.
Oh, yeah.
New York. He was in Christine, another John Carpenter film.
Oh, yeah.
God.
And another Stephen King film.
Yep.
He was in Repo Man. How about he was in The Green Mile?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Holy shit, I forgot that.
Stephen King.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's just his genre stuff that I wrote down. But yeah, I mean, he's another one of those. And not to mention, he's quite a bit older than I believe. Like, I think him and John Hurt were probably him and Ian Holm. I'm sorry, him and Ian Holm were probably the older gentlemen on the set.
Yeah.
He has a huge history, Harry Dean Stanton, in cowboy shows, like old school.
That totally that's what he really is. Yeah, that's right.
So he's from that era, you know. But yeah, tons of like every TV cop show and all that. You know, he's just one of those guys.
He was one of those. He always feels like one of those actors to me. When I see him, I get excited. Like I'm like, I know you, like a friend.
Yeah.
Like a familiar face.
He tells Bruce Banner in the Avengers that he's got a condition.
That's right. Yes.
That's one of my favorite scenes. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's
like, son, you've got a condition.
All right, so his counterpart in the movie, Yaphet Kotto. Let's see. Warning signs. I know you recently had to deal with the Running Man, Mel, but it's still, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book is much better. Read the book. It's only like 100 pages.
Well, and I'm sorry, but for everybody out there who remembers him for Alien, I will always think of him in Freddy's Dead. Sorry, that might be like so like whatever to so many people. But in Freddy's Dead, he's the guy who's like the hippie, kind of like new agey kind of. I'm gonna guide you through the dream cycle.
Right.
Thing. I'm gonna help you kind of deal with the dream world, and I'm gonna give you the 3D glasses so that everybody in the audience will put on their 3D glasses too. You know. But anyway, as silly as all that is, I have a love for his character.
Okay.
Such like you want him to be your shrink. Because he's such a good trick for the kids. But he's a guy who has a huge history in action films, exploitation films. He's just a ton of all of these people. There's nobody here who had a filmography of under 90 films.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or 90 credits, I should say.
Yeah,
but
it's insane.
That's amazing cast lineup. And like I said, none of them were newbies when they got there.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why this movie is so fantastic. When you have an ensemble cast and all of them can be up to that par is amazing. The fact that 20th Century Fox was footing the bill, you can pay for all of it. So
exactly.
Where do we want to go from here?
I know we talked about the details of what things look like. You guys went into super amazing history and talks of the people that created that look and stuff like that. Yeah. But was it just me, or in those first 6 minutes that we talk about where we see the ship, did it not look like Firefly? I was like, is this a Serenity class ship?
Maybe it is because it is like a working ship with people doing a job.
Maybe I don't know. I just like the little. I could see like the little doors pulling out.
I can just say again. Wait till you see Resurrection.
Right, there's some ties.
Okay, cool.
Universal ties.
Yeah,
that's how that's what I feel.
It's a cargo ship. And it doesn't try to look like it's no X-wing fighter,
No, exactly.
And it doesn't have to be pretty like the Enterprise.
Yeah. Well, that's even part of it. Saying it's not an X-wing is like another part of this being such like a real life scenario. Is that none of these people are fighters.
Yeah.
And there aren't really weapons on the ship. So now that there's an invasion, they're like, we've got a stun gun and a net. Right. And they're like, what else do we decide before we get to the like flamethrower? Thank God there's something.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not like, we're on here and it's like, oh, and here's the weapon storage so we can like quickly take care of this problem. Yeah. It's like, oh God, what do we have on board? The science guy who we don't know is like creepy bad robot just rigged a little air pressure radar dealy do. And this one's got a net and I've got a stun gun. Yeah, and just like, that's all we have. Okay, well, we got to go get this thing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Ash? Because I want to say.
Can we please talk about Ash?
Right. So, I mean, all of my previous viewings, and I'm going to say, maybe this is not a movie that I've seen as much as some other films. I probably have seen this like a dozen times. Maybe not as high as some of my other films that I watch over and over and over. Right. But when I go to Alien, the box set type stuff is nice. But I watch Alien. I don't really watch the sequels much.
Oh, right.
So I've seen this movie plenty of times before, but there was something about going into it this time of being like, oh right, he's the droid this time. He's the asshole. He's the corporate slug.
Because are you watching his reactions to everything?
Well,
and
that's
the
thing. Like so watching it back to back twice in a week, I didn't have time to forget because it's always the oh right. See, I always think of Aliens, and I know in Aliens who's the droid, But now in this, I'm like, I can't remember which one. I know it's there, but so watching it like on what was like Wednesday night, and being like, oh shit, it's him, it's Ash, it's Ian Holm. And then like watching it again today, I was like looking at the way he talks to people and the way he looks at people, and you're like,
yes,
what a fucking dick.
Even when everyone is freaking out when John Hurt gets hurt. And
ironies.
I know. Well, John Hurt's first line in the movie is "I feel dead." That's the first thing he says.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah. Foreshadowing.
Everyone is freaking out except him.
Yeah.
He's just like,
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's that thing I was supposed to get. Yeah, at the table. He doesn't have a reaction like everyone else.
He gets up at the end.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing something here.
Right. Yeah.
But also realizing every time that, Ripley goes to talk to him, he instantly starts patronizing her.
Oh, he's a condescending asshole.
Would you not do that? Would you not do that, please? Would you not? And then
don't touch.
Is that enough information for you?
Right.
Is that good enough for you? Is that what you?
Done?
Yeah.
It's like, really?
Don't touch that. Don't look at this. Don't come here.
Yeah.
I have to handle it. I know this. You don't. You'll mess it up.
Even if the hierarchy is a little fuzzy, we know that she's above him.
She is.
Yeah.
So, dude, that's your supervisor. Ship up.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah.
My clue to this should have been too when Dallas and Ripley were having a side conversation, and she even could tell. She was just like, "I know you don't trust him," and he shot back with like, "Well, I don't trust anybody." But I wanted to be like, "Okay, so you two have clearly talked about his position, why he's here." And Dallas has said he's like, "I just get science officers sometimes, and they come on here and they do their job, and I ignore them. They're doing their thing. They're the expert. I'm not the expert."
Right.
But she's like, but shouldn't you have some kind of trust with this person who's sharing
this little dude's kind of a weasel, and it's not making any of us feel good.
And he's overstepping, like you guys just said, he's overstepping my bounds. He's overstepping the company's rules.
Being rude.
Yep.
He's being rude AF. But you're not going to do anything about this because you're just like, he's science. I don't know anything about that. You're the damn captain, bro. You're about to be a commander in 7 years. Viper, step up.
Because then on top of it, he is the reason that they get back on the ship with John Hurt, who's already been invaded by this creature.
Yes. Because if we can go back to something that is now suddenly relevant, there's one thing that Ripley keeps bringing up is don't break quarantine or we'll all die.
Yup.
It says it in the procedure, don't break quarantine. Don't break quarantine, we'll all die. But we have to bring him back. He overrides what's even in the corporate rider, the contract.
Yeah.
And she says it a lot. And when we watch this film now, and then the last time I watched it was the 40th anniversary Blu-ray that I picked up with Ed and I, and we're like, last year we just look at each other, we're like, whoo, suddenly so timely and accurate.
Yeah.
I am also going to throw out there that John Hurt's mask is damaged and that he becomes infected. So there was a mask.
Exactly.
Thing
There's a mask issue.
Yeah.
It's a good. Yeah.
But the she's really clearly stating this is the policy. This is how you deal with this, and you're not dealing with it. This is not proper. She's going above her commander.
Yeah.
She's going above to say no. You're going against policy.
Yeah.
And later, once they figure out that he's a droid, that then they realize he let it on the ship on purpose.
Yeah.
He would have known, because with that whole incident where she realizes, wait, that wasn't a distress call. It was a warning call.
Right.
Yeah.
And he says, don't leave the ship. Don't bother to tell them. It's too late. They're already out there. We're not going to bother them.
Right.
So
and
he's orchestrating the whole thing.
Yeah.
And when they finally break into Mother's programming, the real command is that the crew's expendable, and the only thing is to get the life form that's hanging out there that you're supposed to retrieve, and it doesn't matter what happens to anybody else. And you're just like, screw you.
And he's standing standing right above, like right behind her when she
that's a great where he's just, it's one of those great moments in a horror movie or something like that, where it's like, don't look back. There's the person, the villain's like, and now you know my evil plan.
Yep.
Coming at you.
And it's hard to not like there's the moment where he starts to actually like physically fight with her.
Yes.
And there's like that grab of hair, which is when like, okay, now this has gotten, serious.
Yeah.
He's chasing her. He backs her into a corner. And you got into the point where it's kind of like, it's a mostly male-dominated crew on a ship. it's a corner that is plastered with images of pornography.
Porn, yeah.
And what does he try to choke her with?
He's choking her with a rolled up tube-like magazine, a porn mag. He's trying to shove down her throat.
Yep. So there's so much metaphor in that moment. Yeah. And for all the places to have that scene happen and for the device to use against her. Right. So and that's just an iota of
which even goes back to the down the throat shoving, which happens to a man in the movie, which is usually, unfortunately, the violation always happens to a woman, but this time flipped around, the violation and unwanted pregnancy is happening to a male character.
Yeah.
You know? And that leads to the pregnancy when it kind of comes to fruition, being hypermasculated by being, penis shaped.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yes. I was wondering about that this time I watched it too. I was like, did that little thing that run off the table?
Yep.
Is that a penis?
That's a little. That is 100% what that's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And you take that little thing and you put it upright. That's the head.
That's the head is, alien. And Giger even said he's like the head is supposed to be a penis. So he was drawing because he's like, oh yeah, like we were talking before. He's like, my work's totally sexualized. That's
all phallic and shit. Yeah.
But then it's vaginas and penises and everything. That if you look through all his stuff,
the alien's face is even a double phallus. Because the mouth opens.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's so many.
We're just driving the point home. Yeah. There's all this,
and then there's this.
Here's this. You're coming at it with both sides.
All these women are watching it, going like, "Ow, my stomach! Ow, my vagina! Ow, everything!" Like we're just.
Well, this is something really quick that you said. Ow, your stomach! I didn't know this. O'Bannon had stomach problems, and that's where he got the idea.
Oh, really?
Of something like that. It actually ended up he had Crohn's disease. And there was the stomach pain and problems he was having is he translated into what it was going to be like for when the face hugger and when you got impregnated and what it felt like for him with his gastrointestinal problems.
Poor guy. God,
I know.
That was his writing partner, the producer he worked with was the guy who was like, oh, let's it basically impregnate somebody. Right. And that was how that's pushing those two ideas together is like, well, how painful can we make this? Let's make it be a male.
Terrible. And that goes back to another thing. Nothing in this movie happens fast.
No.
It takes John Hurt a minute to, and I don't mean like 60 seconds. I mean it takes a while.
Yeah.
For that thing to pop out, and you're just like Yaphet Parker says, is he choking? What's going on? But that takes a long time for them to figure out that no, he's not choking. There's something really bad. And and it keeps I like that too. It keeps flipping back and forth to Ash, and you're like, why aren't you?
He's just sitting there.
Aren't you supposed to be the damn doctor?
The medical officer on
the medical officer is like, let's see what happens.
Yeah,
and a while, but shot in one take with 5 cameras.
Yeah,
which I love.
So there's the fact also that everybody knew in the script that what was essentially going to happen, but like you said, they weren't allowed to see any of the aliens before they happen. So. Right. Everyone just knew he was going to burst, but they didn't know what was going to pop out.
Right. What was going to come out, something was going to come out. So you got to do the blood explosion in one take just because it's in an all white set and it's going to, if it doesn't go well the first time, you got to wait like a week or so. You got to clean up everyone, make it pristine and looking fresh again before you can do it.
Yeah.
So that's why because I know Ridley Scott was talking about all his commercial work. He's like, I knew how to shoot this.
Yeah.
He's like, we're taking 5 cameras and just letting it roll.
Yeah.
And then everyone knows something's about to happen, but they didn't know how sudden and they didn't know what it was supposed to look like.
What was going to come out of them.
Mm-hmm. And the fear is real. Yep. It's not just a Hollywood myth that they really didn't tell the crew to get like a real fresh reaction.
It's somewhere
your girl Veronica legit got knocked backwards because she was so freaked out by the blood spray.
Oh my god!
And it's one of those things where it's not like William Friedkin hiding a shotgun on set to scare the crap out of people making The Exorcist. Right. This is everybody knew something was going to happen. So it's not total method, but it's this layer of. But we had to keep some things a mystery so that you
think of the cast being having as much anticipation as the audience.
Yeah.
And that's what's even an extra layer, of course. No one knows every first time everyone watching it. Like, I know you, Mel, you know the references of Alien 2, just living in the world as long as we did when it was your first time, but I'm just, again, I think of like everyone sitting in that theater, and it's kind of cool to think like the cast was having a slightly similar experience. And be like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And that, I love it. I love
it. It is. It's cool.
And the same for the reveal of finally seeing the full xenomorph.
Yes.
They hadn't seen him in person. They had ideas, but they hadn't.
He was hidden.
They hadn't, and to know his height and his scale until he's revealed. That then the cast is interacting with him, and there's even stories about how so many of them felt bad for him because they would be on set for hours, and they couldn't take the tail off, so he couldn't sit down. They had to rig something so that he could kind of lean.
He kind of like had to hang out and then uncomfortable.
So it took a while before they were even allowed to interact with him. So, but that initial first couple of scenes with him coming out at them in the dark, they don't know what it's gonna look like. So that's intense too.
That's real fear for me. I know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. If you're on the set, it's all like that, and you're like, "Hey, I know this is a movie, but what are you good at? What are we doing? What's happening?"
Yeah. And that was another thing that when I did see it the first time, and granted this past time was only the second time, so it still kind of hit me hard, was when I first saw.
Oh, by the way, I still jump, and I can't tell you how many times I watched it.
Of course. I totally get that. The whole vibe is making that point so much bigger and so much worse. But yeah, the first time I saw the xenomorph come so close and with the drippy and everything. Yeah, I've seen it the size of Vicks Pop. I've seen it on What's in the Box, where they open it up and it's just a figure size. But
you saw the little funny joke version on Family Guy.
Yes.
Exactly. I'm going to eat you with my little mouth.
I'll eat you with my little mouth. Exactly. I've seen that a million times.
Right.
This, when it's huge, it takes up
so
many aspects of this movie take up the entire screen.
Yes.
And it's just like face. Yeah. And obviously when it's like Sigourney Weaver's face, it's beautiful. Then it's creepy face with the it's terrifying.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I guess it goes back to our talk in the beginning about genres, how it's like invading.
Yeah.
Like, very weird.
It's an extreme close-up will make your stomach hurt anytime.
Yeah. And he didn't have to do anything.
Drippy.
Yeah. And when it's dripped, the KY that was the best.
Just sitting there.
Goo.
But then they're like pumping like water out, so they're just like salivating at the same time. Damn. Yeah. It all adds up. It can't not feel creepy.
It's perfect. It's a perfect monster that now changes the face of alien monsters from then on.
Yeah.
He's the blueprint now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if it's not part of the franchise, I defy you to say that whatever alien monster they're going to give me from then on in is not somehow referencing that, even if they say it isn't. Yeah. It's almost impossible, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
You can't not.
Nope.
It's crazy.
But it's used to such amazing effect, and that's going back to what we were saying before. It's this combination of the cinematography and the lighting and the miniature work and the scale building and all of it to create a real existing place.
And also the xenomorph screen time is like very minimal. Minimal pieces, really quick, a fast noise, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And that adds so much more to it, just like Jaws instead of Space Jaws, and we know that was brought about by technical difficulties, and this was a choice they made. But they all, the less you see of the monster, the scarier it is really, a trope that makes sense. I feel like it's
following like the universal monster theory.
Exactly.
Show less.
Yeah. Do you see him but once at the end when she is on the shuttle and he makes his way out of the wall? Like, is that the only time you see the most of him?
There's like
there's a full
shot.
Right? Like with Harry Dean Stanton's, because their interactions.
Oh shit, yeah, because he's so much
pulls him,
and then with when it's Parker and Lambert, he's fully in the middle of them.
Oh, yes, you're right.
And talk about
she's like face to face with it, looking up like he's backed her against the wall.
Yeah, and talk about an invasion scene. There's so much alluded to in the use of the tail in that scene.
Oh god, that freaks me out.
And then all we hear is her screaming, and her screams
change.
so drastically in that time.
Yeah. Like an total insane scream and then dead silence.
Yep. Yeah. And now, I was going to say, I thought that too. I was like, are those the screams of her getting killed, or are they the screams of her getting violated? Like, it was very much like, I'm not sure.
Right. And it could be both at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The other thing about that makes me remember, Cartwright said in one of her interviews that she was really unhappy to find out she was Lambert.
Oh, really?
Really?
She had auditioned to be Ripley. She thought when she got called in that she had done several call-ins. She thought she was going, when she got the part, that it was Ripley. It wasn't made clear to her or her agent, according to her, that she was not playing Ripley. So when she gets there and they're doing wardrobe is when she finds out from the wardrobe mistress.
Oh, that's soon, like wardrobe?
Yeah. And she's just like, wait, who? I'm what now? And she's like, I didn't read her part. So then she goes back and reads Lambert, and she's just like, wait, what? She's so mad that she's this woman who's crying half the time.
Like I'm the most emotional one on the crew.
But she says that the only reason that she ended up agreeing was that, I don't know if it's Ridley Scott or Dan O'Bannon, someone literally sat her down and said, no, you have to understand. They're trying to say, you're not the hysterical woman. No, you're the audience. We want you to represent how the people in the crowd are going to feel going through all of this. So that's why you have to be the emotion that Ripley isn't. Like, and it's this kind of duality as opposed to a well-rounded woman who could be both of those things.
Right.
But so they're kind of separating emotion in that way. And she was, it was a hard sell for her. She was.
I can totally understand that, especially seeing what Ripley is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can understand that.
But they kind of do that with the men too. I mean, Parker is definitely just the emotional side of most of the other, well, especially like John Hurt or like Ash and like fuck was John Hurt's name? Kane. Like Ash and Kane were so, I mean, we know Ash was a robot, but I was writing before I remembered that he was a robot. I was like, God, he's almost like Spock-like. And then I remembered he's a robot. I'm like, oh, duh, that's why.
You're like funny enough.
I'm like funny.
Forgot.
But then
Data-like,
not being a robot. He was so sensible. He was so calm. He was so careful. Like everything was, you know, 10 steps thinking about it before he did it. And Parker was the exact opposite.
Right.
Constantly screaming at Ripley, constantly getting into a rage. Like you said, you like super aggro, like all the time.
Frustrated and
So he could have been that part of the audience too. Be like, why aren't you listening to Ripley? Why aren't we doing something? Why aren't we this? Why aren't we that? Like so aggravated.
Or if you say it that way, to me, my brain goes, Kane's British.
That's 100% what that is.
And Parker's American.
Those are way 100. The two like representations of
that's
those
exactly
cultures
what I meant.
perfectly.
I'm sorry that we're in peril. I'll get back on cue.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll wait my turn. I'm sorry. I won't.
There's lots of I'm sorries from that contingency that
are
not even necessary.
Right. Yeah. As opposed to the big, you know, like American.
You're like, girl,
I want my money.
What's this? You get over here. I'm not listening to you. I got to do my thing. Yeah.
For your plan, I'm just going to kill the damn thing.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so. I didn't even think of that.
That's 100%. You're right.
As you're describing him, I'm like, so he's British.
Yeah.
You're like, you just described England and America, Mel. Like,
both sides of the pond, right
exactly.
There. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's true. I didn't think about that like that either. But yeah, that totally makes sense.
Okay, so this moment that we both had is simpatico.
Yeah, so it's very funny. Again, Vic and I have watched Alien a dozen times or more throughout the years of our life from watching Alien. This is the first time that I noticed something that is within another genre of something we love, which is music and the type of music. And I never put two and two together, if it even is, but I did a little research. So on the screen, when they're mapping out, I think it's the radar screen where they're mapping out the planet before they hit the planet.
Yep.
There's that looks like a little like zigzag.
The wavelengths.
Wavelength planet. Yeah, looks like a mountain range wavelength. Mm-hmm. I'm staring at that, and I thought, Joy Division. I was like, this looks like the album cover for Unknown Pleasures.
Oh, Unknown Pleasure. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, are they? So I made a mental note to just go check that out today, and here's what I found. So It just is a total coincidence.
Really?
Because Unknown Pleasures came out in April 1979 is Unknown Pleasures, and then May 1979 is the movie.
Holy
That
shit.
specific now is a very iconic album cover, The Unknown Pleasures Wavelength, is from the Cambridge Encyclopedia of Astronomy, and it's a representation of the first a radio wave of the first pulsar ever recorded.
So they both stole the same thing.
They both stole the same thing.
Oh my God.
Peter Saville is the graphic artist who kind of switched up. He appropriated it, and I think the picture in the Cambridge one is like black lines on white, and it's white lines on black for the Joy Division album cover.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can't really say ones, because I assumed the same thing, that Joy Division got the idea from Alien.
Yeah, it's like one. So
right,
Alien
they were both out the same year, but in the same season of spring, just within a month from each other. Isn't that wild? Yeah,
that's insane, and it's just so bizarre that we both noticed it this time for the first time. This is
the first time I was like, Joy Division. What's that? I was like, did they?
And it's not like it's not like we're some sort of like post-punk newbies here. Like,
no, exactly.
Oh yeah,
Vic and I have been listening to Joy Division for a long ass time.
Yeah, I mean, for decades now.
That's an amazing album.
That was bizarre.
But yeah, it's very funny. I didn't think of it until that night, and that's so crazy that sister.
I know, seriously. And I literally turned to my husband and was like, "Holy shit!" And he was like, "Joy Division?" And I'm like,
And then my other mental note was to ask Vic and Keith, because I'm knowing that you guys are Joy Division fans. I'm like, did you ever think that? So that's really funny.
That's so cool.
It just happened to be a coincidence.
Yes. This is the year that we were supposed to do this.
Yeah, all makes sense.
All right. So speaking of having to do this year, we really, as always, I like to tie this all together, this very large package that we've made today that has to be tied together, of why this is, an important movie, and why this is something everyone should either own or have seen and maybe revisit if you haven't seen it in a long time. What makes this film still relevant today and important? I'm going to say, to me, and it's how we started the show, it is the intersection of genre. The fact that we're putting horror and sci-fi together, and it's it's a Reese's peanut butter cup of warm alien love.
That's our favorite candy.
Yes.
What's more delicious?
Chocolate together. And
I ask you, nothing is that better than that. You're right. No. This is the Reese's peanut butter cup of that genre. It is delicious and perfect.
And we are recording this in April, so maybe it's a late Easter gift.
It is.
It's a Reese's
Reese's egg.
It's a Reese's egg.
Oh, fucking awesome! So yeah, I'm forever calling this movie my Reese's egg.
And the Reese's egg,
I love that. Yes.
In the cups. I don't know why.
Because you know why? The Reese, because there's more surface area for more peanut butter in the egg, and that's why the egg and the Christmas tree are good.
And the pumpkin.
And the pumpkin.
Because I buy the pumpkins.
Yes, I buy the pumpkin too. That's why the egg's better. Yeah. It has a bigger delivery system for the peanut butter.
Yeah, you don't get it. You don't get like the extra canyon of chocolate.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So added information for you guys here. You're learning so much tonight. Come on.
Yeah.
All right.
You're getting an education.
All kinds of genres coming up tonight. Yeah. Dessert even.
The dessert genre.
Joy Division.
Our post-punk dark wave genre.
Dark wave world is all colliding.
Yeah.
So, and
oh my God, Vic. So do you want to one day put on Unknown Pleasures to Alien and see what happens and turn the soundtrack down?
Like Pink Floyd was
while we eat Reese's eggs.
Yes.
I want to try it. Let's try it.
This is and we'll
report back. We'll make another video of what that was like.
It. Yes. That'll be a live show one day.
Yeah, we should do that for a live stream.
Oh my God.
People can watch with us.
Yeah.
So, all right. So all of that to say, it's not just it's the intersection of genre, but it's the bringing back, and it's kind of reconfiguring what had been in the 50s, that joining up together of the monster genre, and the kind of like radioactive sci-fi, putting it all together. And this is a modernization of that concept, and it completely changes the face of A, science fiction, and B, horror after it. So that's my number one most important thing here.
Go, and then
this is going to be all of our most important thing too.
Go.
one of the most important first strong female characters.
Yes.
In science fiction.
That nobody listened to.
Or horror.
Right.
Yeah, well that also that unfortunately becomes a cliche a little bit as like the films go on, or not just Alien, but in general.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Ripley gets talked about as much as the character should when you bring about that. And it's like a dialogue we're still having to this day in this century about where the strong female characters, or how important she is. There it is. Yes.
Nice.
I just grabbed off the top of my reading list.
They're right. Yes.
Oh my God.
These are
a girl.
That not just like you were saying, where we're going to say a final girl, if you want to say that represents someone who just survived, and like enough to have that happen, but the fact that Ripley is outspoken and curious and strong-willed from the beginning. She doesn't have like an instant where all of a sudden she has to be like, she's always communicating and questioning, and like she's over Ash and what are you doing there? Let me see that. And talking with the crew, it's like, we got to make a decision, and how important that is. And I don't think it also doesn't take away from her terror, which she fully shows and realizes that fear is real and she has it, but she's still like, I gotta like step up and do something. And there was even a little moment, Vic, I was going to ask you, where when she's finally on the shuttle at the end, and she backs into the closet where the suits are. Do you feel like a Halloween vibe for a minute?
For like that's another one that might have been too close, because if Halloween came out in 78 and they were making this in 78.
Oh, right, yeah. But even if it wasn't referencing it, it was something that I like thought in my head, where she's like, I'm in there, I'm quiet, it doesn't know just yet, but I'm now gonna like I'm putting on the armor, or I've got to do something now, and like it's ready for me to like take a step forward.
I've also read other takes on that scene where after a film where she's been the strong, dominant force of reason, and she's not in any way sexualized, it is in those final moments that we see her stripped down.
I know, that is the only thing that bugs me.
And I told you that the first time I watched it.
Yeah, there's quite a few that are like, is this a last-ditch effort to, throw a fantasy on top of a character?
I feel like a lot of things that I had read, people said, and that was just tossed into to be like, remember, this could be, remember, she's also like hot lady.
Yeah. Right. I mean, but at the same time, I'm also going to say part of, and maybe the Ripley we see in this film, and maybe I'm going to say this kind of as a prediction of me rewatching the rest of the series now this month, but it becomes to represent this idea of one side of a woman, and like we were saying, how Lambert's the emotional side, and really I don't think we see in this a well-rounded person. She goes from kind of two extremes of being kind of chaste, or and being kind of that running in fear, to being like the kind of strong, powerful one. So I think after Alien, we start to see women who are allowed to also be women.
Right.
I mean, see my Day of the Dead episode for why I think Sarah is the well-rounded woman, because she can be that strong like Ripley, and then at the same time she has these private moments that we are allowed to glimpse at of her kind of falling apart a little bit and putting herself back together to go out and to deal with the world and the men.
And the funny part of that is
that here too, though, a little bit.
I know it's like in her a bit, but then when you get to Aliens, I know we're not fully talking about that, then it's really dumped on her because they give the whole like mother persona to her.
Well, then you get to
so Alien it's like 3. Almost like super extreme. Yeah.
By Alien 3, she's not even allowed I think femininity, and then we have this kind of moment of forced sexuality within the film. So and 4 also plays with that, from what my vague memory.
4, she's over sexualized by the people that are in charge of her.
And 3, she's a desexualized woman on a penal colony. So she's the only woman. So all of a sudden,
there's even a scene where there's a sexual threat, which is
right. Yeah. But there's a full-on sex scene, right? Like I have to rewatch. But I'm just to say that there's a moment of, even though she has become asexual to us as viewer, automatically all of the men in the room
right, because she's the only
woman being a woman.
But there's a moment on that where she almost gets gang raped in 4,
right,
but gets saved by a guy.
Because the 3, they almost, one of the analysis I read of 3.
I mean 3, that's 3, not 4.
Because it goes from that to then she becomes involved in a consensual relationship right after.
Right, because there is the one guy that saves her that they have a little thing. Right. So it's almost like they had, I was like, why did they have to? Yeah. See, but like, even if you think of, but for 4, she even acts a little more sexual, but she's the guy, the dude that's overseeing her is like super into her.
Yeah. Well, then
that can also read into like Joss Whedon stuff that we know now that's upsetting, but
then there's
that's a whole other show.
There's all the, from what I remember, like I said, 4 is my fuzziest of memories.
4, I've watched 4 a few times, so I'm not as fuzzy as you. So hit me with it.
But I mean, like her and Winona Ryder, there's a lot of sexual tension in that.
There's stuff between them that's more consensual because Winona's curious about her. But then there's the dude who's like the main scientist that's watching over what Ripley is now. And he's just like, like that. He's just like super overt about how into her.
There was even discussion of Ash being like that in the first one. And I'm like,
I didn't get that.
I don't get a sexual vibe. I get like I'm above you.
Yeah, there's the arrogant vibe and how dare you. And well, he'll do whatever he can to stop everyone from his like final goal.
Okay, so
but she's so incredibly important from now through the history of strong female characters, and I know that's why each of us on our like first level of seeing this, besides it being a beautiful horror movie, as a woman, it means so much to us, as much as Princess Leia means to us. And then seeing something, I saw this way after Star Wars. And just having like another level of that type of strong female character that you kind of carry with you, even though she's in a little funny Barbie way on my shirt, and that just speaks to my duality.
And and our generation. This is what we're given. We're given Barbie and we're given Ripley.
Yeah, so here's the fun mashup that I get to be like, see,
Yeah.
Because as much as I would sometimes admire Barbie, she did a number. I still want to be the woman who can like kick your ass and,
and look good doing
blow a spaceship and like suck some alien out there, because it's like, why I gotta get it done? Because no one else listened to my ass. So I'm tough.
So, I mean, and like we said before, I mean, this is be it intentional or not, this is 1979. We're far into the women's movement taking at least a stronghold in society. And
second
starting
wave
to
first. No.
Second wave.
This is the second wave. Yep.
Yeah. So 1970. So all of that to say that, I mean, in some way or another, we're seeing an impact of feminism, and through Alien, we see the kind of like how this kind of transformation of a female protagonist and a positive empowerment moment that definitely kind of sets the stage for everything after.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also just saw. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
I also just saw one thing, and this was my literary read of movies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
But the first Earth Day was 1970, so the environment is still fresh in everybody's minds, and this was like before you even get to all of the chaos in the ship after the egg was or the whatever was let in, like the idea of most of the people most of the people exploring being like, we have to grab that, we have to look at it, we have to dissect it, we have to, whatever the consequences, whatever whatever happens afterwards, it doesn't matter. The sacrifice of 7 humans' lives doesn't matter, because we have to discover and explore. But like we said in the beginning, there's a cargo ship, so actually no, you don't. But the idea of like human ego fucking over like science and like common sense and like the wealth and resources of the planet was all about the 70s, and then like hella into the 80s.
Right.
So this was like riding that wave of like, oh yeah, we're about to go into the 80s and really fuck some stuff up on a planetary scale. And this is what started it. Like don't touch means don't touch. Like, it might not be good. Yeah, like, we discovered a lot of other great things, and this is how we invented and became a society, and, intellectuals and blah, blah, blah. But, like, at the end of the day, sometimes if it looks scary, it's probably scary. So leave it there, Like,
which, I mean, and that totally leads into the idea of empire. So, I mean, that's total British imperialism.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
It's colonialism is also a subject that gets touched on this.
Mm-hmm.
We're in an environment we don't know. We've got the right to be here. I'm going to poke around. What's this? I don't know. Cool. I'm going to take that. That's mine now. Flag.
Yeah, exactly.
User would say. This is ours.
That's true. Like, America's newness. Just like, thanks. I'm gonna go take this now.
Or even you think of, I mean, if on the British side of it, it's okay. Take that egg with us. We're putting it in the museum.
Yeah,
because now it's ours, and we found it. It didn't exist. It didn't exist before we found it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's ours. Yeah, this is our. Oh, yeah, mummies are our thing. Egypt's our thing, not the Egyptians.
Not the Egyptians.
Egyptians are like, excuse me.
I would argue that environmentalism and colonialism and all of those imperialistic theories all work together in kind of the overarching feminist mindset. That's a feminist lens,
Yeah.
So definitely on there. The next thing I wanted to talk about was atmosphere. Setting atmosphere in a way that hadn't been done before, using traditional things. So it's like we talked about, all those VFX guys using physical props and models and matte paintings and lighting and extensive fog machines, from what they say, and cinematography and all of that, coupled with the sound design.
I was just
very minimalist sound design, which is amazing. And Goldsmith's stamp of approval or not, the score, it does add to that atmosphere in a way. Yeah.
There's even that one moment when Harry Dean Stanton has that prolonged, it's rainy, drippy before he gets attacked.
Yeah.
And there's a few moments where you think it's either the sound of a wind or rain, but you hear a hiss a few times.
Yeah. There's it's atmospheric pressure above it that he calls them and he says there's like a buzz.
Yeah.
Or
it's like, do you slightly hear like the alien hiss in the back that you're just like, what was that? Or is that, I do not know. And there's a whole part at the end from the beginning. There's a sound that the ship makes that sounds like a heartbeat. And it's just the ship noise, if you know, is just like a beating heart the entire time.
Yeah.
It's like an incidental ship noise, but it's a heartbeat sound. That could to me, heartbeats, even though it's important and you want to know that you have it, heartbeat noises give me anxiety.
Yeah.
For some reason, or maybe it's that whole like, my heart's beating, I'm alive. I hope it doesn't stop because I'm really paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So that underlying like heartbeat that's going now as like all the action's taking place till Ripley's like rigging the detonation bomb. Oh, can I also say that's a voiceover goal of mine one day?
Be a computer.
I want to be the voice of this is about to self-destruct. I think as like a female with a certain type of voice.
Yeah.
That's an ultimate goal of mine.
I thought that was actually cool. That it was
it's usually a feminine voice if you remember from like a lot of science fiction stuff, because it's funny because it's like supposed to be soothing, but it's like the most horrifying thing that you can hear, because there's always those points in those movies where like somebody's like, I got to detonate the place and we all have to get out of there, because I know that's used a lot. That scenario makes me even more afraid than whatever they're running from.
Yes,
I get so much anxiety from a countdown and from somebody like doing the thing, but it's always a female voice. And then like part of me wants one day I want to do a voiceover where I'm like the atomic bomb countdown lady.
That's awesome.
I'm just putting it out there. That's a goal.
Yeah. But talking about like horrific sounds and things like that, also like this could just be really out into the fucking blue, or I'm tired, I don't know, but like the heartbeat is the first sound that you hear to know that your baby's alive. So it's
important.
And the ship is named Mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's females all throughout that are an important part of the story.
And you're in a womb like ship. So
everything. Yep.
All of that together.
The womb of the ship is Mother. There's the big egg incubation center. That's also the alien womb. That's like danger womb, but still a womb.
I guess I was thinking of something else.
You meet the female species next film.
Yeah, and you need to meet her because she is pretty righteous.
Yes.
The queen is cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I want to also highlight and we talked about this a lot already, so I just want to make sure that we put this as a bullet point, the collaborative effort. This is not an auteur film. There's no way that this could be claimed to be just a Ridley Scott movie or just a Dan O'Bannon movie.
You couldn't have gotten it made.
All of the artistry and all of the different departments that came together. This isn't even just a Geiger film. It took all of their efforts to make this.
Or even Geiger had a crew. It wasn't just him. He didn't just draw stuff and walk away. He had a bunch of guys in their hands, literally hands on everything, making it.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. And then that's something that's rarely kind of celebrated in film. Yes. Filmmaking is not it's very seldom a one-man show.
Right. Yeah. And I know that it's thought of it that way. You and I have talked about that before, Vic. And I know we discussed it when we talked about Dracula as much, because we were talking about as much as wardrobe was such an important part of that, as much as score. And that especially now, and I know people maybe watch Academy Awards more, and this did the Oscar it won was for in 1980. It was the best achievement in visual effects. So Giger and his crew won an Oscar that year for that they were nominated for. So I think like in the seasons coming up, I think it's so important for everyone to pay attention, because that's why I feel like you got to sit through the credits.
Yes.
You had to show respect. Always sit through the credits. It takes a lot of villages. Yeah. And all those people, every one of those people are super important to the thing that you're loving or enjoying.
And the Oscars aren't just about the best actor, best picture, best director. The Oscar is about
technical Oscars are important.
I love those and I will say on a year when I don't get to see all of the top films, like the film up for best picture, 9 times out of 10, the only movies I have seen are either in the animation category or they're in the effects categories. All the technical categories, best editing, best sound design, visual effects, all of these, the cinematography, those are the things that make movies really work. And you can have the smartest guy in the world, you can have the best screenwriter in the world, you can have the best person editing your film, but if you don't have all those other components, your movie will not it won't exist. And if it does exist, it might not be that good. So
and the whole team should be an ensemble. Like I'm thinking about most of the movies that I like truly, truly love are ensemble pieces, and that I can't pick one actor to be the best actor or the best actress. I can't,
because they all fit in so perfectly and work as a beautiful unit together.
Exactly. So it would only make sense that the rest of the team that's making the movie would be like that too. Like it doesn't make sense to just.
They're also a crew with their final goal.
Exactly. The director ain't shit without the editors and this, the effects people or the writer. That script ain't getting moved from a desk unless you have a team to, like you said, build all the stuff that you've just described.
Or good actors. All just the crew of the Nostromo trying to make it through space, guys.
Dude, listen.
Yes, totally.
Absolutely.
That's life.
And then my very last thing that I'm going to say, as far as a bullet, is of course it's a franchise starter. It leads to many, many things. Not all of them amazing. Some of them better than others. But it's always important to note where something starts. And I think not only is this a franchise starter in that respect, but it's also it sets some bars and some goals as what a franchise should be.
Yeah.
And most of those franchise starters don't know that they're going to be that.
Right. And they don't even know if it's going to be a remembered movie 5 years from now, let alone sequels.
Right. I wrote, if these numbers are correct, like $11 million budget, but an over $100 million gross at the box office.
Wow.
Where Sigourney Weaver said she thought this was like a scrappy little independent film at first.
Right.
Oh, that's what she thought she was signing up. They're like, cool, little alien movie. All right.
Yeah.
And this, genre changing, it was franchise starting, one of the biggest
lines around the block kind of film.
Oh my God.
There was one time they said that the Egyptian in Los Angeles was playing, or in Hollywood was playing it nonstop for 48 hours because they couldn't. There were just too many people online. It's that post Star Wars thing where that's what happened. Post Star Wars,
Jaws,
where everybody lined up. Jaws, all of those. This is original blockbusters, and it's we're expecting it now, and we're waiting for it. And it's one of the films that really kind of like.
That's a huge deal to always remember that, especially for people watching this who are younger, who don't understand that wasn't part of the landscape of film at one point.
That wasn't normal. That did not exist before the 70s.
Blockbuster wasn't a thing until films like this happened.
Well,
Jaws
and like
was
somebody
the
for
first
me
one.
who's not
Jaws was the first.
Like who's not familiar with the franchise like you guys are, this is holding my interest enough where I'm gonna at least go check out Aliens. And then that's probably gonna hold my interest enough where I'm gonna check out
Aliens
3.
Great.
I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I'm gonna keep going because this is like the ending was not a cliffhanger, but it was definitely like I need to go find out what's going to happen now.
Now that you know there's more, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And is it reminiscent of the first one? And what is this going to be like?
And I think it's also important that Alien creates a world outside of just the 4 kind of core films and the 2 spin-off films.
Yeah.
You have novels, comic books, video games.
Video games the video games
Alien
are
versus Predator. All the Alien versus Predator was a graphic novel series on Dark Horse, I believe, before it became a movie.
Where they made the film.
I mean, so when you say it's a franchise starter, I mean, games alone, there's so many Alien games out there.
God, I can't imagine.
So it definitely is one of the films that set that bar also. Like, well, what do we do next with this property? And how do we expand this universe? And that's what's important here.
And the fact that it's the fact that it's still happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not just Star Wars that's continuing now.
Right.
That's a big deal.
Things, yeah. But I think that's our bullets. That's our most important why this is important. I'm going to do a super quick on the just to stick with my format. I'm going to show you guys. I only have a few ways on this, so I'm just going to tell you this is a really no frills laser disc. This was a gift. It's got no it's no special features. It's not a dual disc or anything like that. This is just a single off that was given to me by my sister because she said I needed to have Alien in case I ever get a chance to get this autographed. I need it on a laser disc.
Yes.
So do you have it for that? I was remarking before that I have our DVD set is a triple pack. So it's almost like they're saying, yeah, whatever, that 4th movie happened, we don't care. Because obviously this came out after, because DVD didn't exist
I still
yet.
kind of like Resurrection.
I don't know, but it's just weird. That's why, and that's why I think the only time I ever saw Resurrection was in the theater. It's not even on my DVDs. Like, that's weird.
Funny.
Yeah. And then we I think we said before that we both have the same.
They do have it on the
What
Blu-ray.
is that? The Blu-ray?
Okay. This is all 4. This was another gift from Vic. Vic really hooks up my Alien lifestyle.
Yeah.
This was a birthday present one year from you.
I love it.
And Keith, I appreciate. Yep. And then
you got the 4K, right?
Yeah, we did because of the setup in the theater. We do have the 40th anniversary 4K.
That picture,
which is what I'm
awesome.
watching. That's just Alien. There wasn't the extra stuff. So it's like you definitely need this for everything else. And if you have the means, if you've got the capability of the screen or the projector or the TV and the sound, get this guy.
And I will say for the Blu-ray, I don't know if this is true also for the 4K, but it does give you the option. Do you want the theatrical 1979 print or do you want the 2003 director's cut? Ridley Scott has a really awful history of his director's cuts because of so many different versions of Blade Runner that are out there. But I will say I watched both versions this week, and the 2003 director's cut only adds a few moments. So it's not like an extra time suck. Sometimes they add all those things that didn't need to be there.
Right.
But the digital restoration is beautiful. Oh my God. Like,
that's awesome.
It was like watching it on TV versus watching it, like streamed. That's
cool. So this has the director's cut too.
Good.
Both of them are the updated because of 4K version. I've still never seen the director's cut because of the director's cut stigma.
Right.
So I think in a year or so when it's time to watch Alien again, I will finally watch the director's cut.
And I was even saying, like, I don't know if I want to do it. Is that going to be like, because they talk about in the documentary that there's a 3-hour original, there's a 3-hour cut before they made the theatrical. And I'm like, I don't want to watch a 3-hour cut. It's still perfect the way it is. So
that's what I feel exactly. And that's why I never did it. I was like, but the thing is how it's supposed to be.
Like 10 minutes longer. That's it. So
okay, cool.
It's not awful like that. But it
is it noticeably?
There's one scene that they kept talking about in the documentary that I'm like, I never saw that scene. What the hell are they talking about? And they're like, well, in the end, we decided to cut it out because it's not necessary. He did put that back in for this.
Okay.
But the colors are punched up, not unrealistically. Like, it still feels like that environment, but you realize it's like you watch the first cut in a fog.
Yeah.
And then somebody just like turned on the air and then like aired the place out. And
it cleared that fog and the Who light out.
It's just very crisp. It's such a crisp image.
Nice.
This is what Blu-ray was made for.
Yeah.
So take advantage of it and check this out.
Exactly.
Only other thing I wanted to share was, and we talked a little about my little 40th anniversary.
Hey, buddy. I need to get one. What am I doing?
I think I do too.
And
I can't not have this.
Hey, wait, if I try and buy these now, is it going to be like Ludo and $150?
There's a bunch of different, well, maybe not a bunch. There's like, I think 3 different versions of Ripley that you can get. This was the 40th anniversary version.
Okay.
There's other ones that aren't going to be hard to find.
I mean, let me see. And they came together?
No, these were 2 these were 2 gifts that I got.
I need to have that.
I'm gonna look it up, Al. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Send me the link. I'll put it on my wish list.
He gets to hang out next to my Sarah Connor.
Yay!
That's cool.
Ladies, all the ladies. Yeah.
And we will continue our campaign to get Final Girls as Pops. But anyway,
I need a Laurie Strode.
I need a Nancy Thompson too.
I can't believe hasn't been a Nancy.
Nope.
No.
That's gross.
There's an entire documentary about how the fact there's not really Nancy figures. But anyway.
Yeah.
I talked about that before too. So
I was gonna say.
All right. What else anything else you want to bring to the table, guys?
No, just talking about collectibles, the thing I really want, because this was wild and I know it came out because the 40th. And it was funny so with the theater downstairs, and I'm like, you see like those prop houses are always doing sales, and it's like usually maybe celebrities are buying them or people with a ton of money, because I don't have like Hollywood prop house auction money floating around. But I was like, if there's anything I've always wanted, and I always thought I wanted a full-size xenomorph statue. And I was like, I don't know, probably someone made them somewhere. They don't exist. Well, in April of 2020, which again, I was like, hey, Ed, birthday gift. Not real. Hollywood Collectibles Group created, or they were going to create, I think there was only a certain number of them. You had to pay a chunk of money first, and then we'll make it for you. It was going to be the 8-foot tall xenomorph. So this thing was actually going to exist for sale. This like dream of me being like, I want this in the house. If I ever had a home theater or something, now we do. This would be perfect. It was just, $8,000.
Just
so
$8,000.
I was like, hey, Ed. He's like, how much? And I was like, he's like, you're cute. If we're some kind of crazy millionaires, yes, I would have said we need to get this, but not normal people life. Vic, if you find a picture, can you Photoshop it back here where we would put it in hypothetically, if it existed? Just know that and I was like, yeah, and we'd put like maybe do some green LED lights around the bottom so we could like uplight it, and then that could just hang out in the corner with like the light on it and everything else dark, and yeah.
Oh my god.
So this was like the dream that could have been a reality if we were like, we wanted to spend crazy money and be like silly. But we have to be responsible adults.
If you had the ability to say, Jeeves, would you please put that on my special orders?
I would 100%. That with my, the my like pinball machine that I always wanted.
I have a list of pinball machines.
I got a couple pinball machines I always wanted. I know there's an Alien one somewhere. I don't think I ever played it, but there's usually a pinball machine for every like major franchise or film release. Yeah, I will have dreams of the 8-foot tall xenomorph being a thing that you could have ordered. It was probably just back then, and you can't. Yeah, I would put a hat on it and lights. Yeah, decorate it for every. Are you kidding? Bunny ears.
Totally.
I'd seasonally decorate that thing. We'd name it. Dreams.
Stanley
anyway.
The Xenomorph.
Stanley. Yeah. Stan.
On that wondrous. I don't even know. Like,
but fun with fandoms.
Yes,
but I'll settle for the pop, so I should get those.
We'll get you a pop.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank both of you for going on this awesome journey with me. And 3 hours and 18 minutes, 3 hours and 30 minutes into our call, I think we covered Alien.
I think we did. Then you can't say that this movie isn't so bloody important, because it really is.
Yep.
Boom.
It took 3 of us to talk about it. That's
exactly.
It took a village.
took a village
of these awesome feminists to discuss this film.
Yes. All right, guys. I think that's it for us tonight. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on the Horror Academic or the Sci-Fi Academic or whatever we are, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.